Breaking tonight after nearly a week of questions, first raised on television by the Kelly File, the State Department offers an answer. Sort of. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. For almost a week, this broadcast has been asking the State Department a very simple question. Did Hillary Clinton live up to her State Department's own policy and sign a separation agreement known as an OF-109 form, certifying that she'd turn over all official documents before she left the agency? Today, a response.
And you put to rest the questions that you have not been able to answer to this point about former Secretary Clinton and whether she signed this separation form or not.
Well, we have reviewed Secretary Clinton's official personnel file and administrative files and do not have any record of her signing the OF-109.
It's your understanding, though, that not completing this form is not a violation of any rule or regulation?
It's not a violation of any rule, no.
And when you said that you found no record of her two immediate, was it her two immediate predecessors?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So that would be Secretary Rice and Secretary Powell?
Yes.
And you're certain that none of them signed it? How about,
well, these are the records we have at the State Department.
Is it your understanding that some people did and some people didn't, but no one was required to, or just the secretaries?
Well, there are differences between regulations and certainly recommendations, and I'm just getting at there's a difference between also secretaries of state or former secretaries and staff at lower levels.
First, a word on what you just heard, and kudos to Matt Lee of the AP, who's been on this case. Miss Psaki suggested that secretaries at that level, they might not be subject to the same rules as staffers. That is false. The rules specifically point out that presidential appointees must also follow the protocols. Second, she says she also couldn't find this form for Mrs. Clinton's predecessors, Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice. Okay, but the issue was never, is Mrs. Clinton signing all the forms she's supposed to be signing? The issue has been whether Hillary certified that she produced a bunch of documents that we know she did not produce. This is about Mrs. Clinton and what she certified under penalty of perjury. Now we're told she never said that she returned all the public records. And of course, we know she could never have honestly signed that form. But here's the real point. OF-109 makes clear, if you are keeping federal records at your house, you're committing a felony. So if she had signed it, we would have proof that she knew what she was doing was illegal. Now that we're told she didn't sign the form, does that prove she didn't know she wasn't entitled to keep the documents? Well, that'll be up to the public to decide. Hillary Clinton, a graduate of Yale Law School, who was First Lady in the White House for 8 years, who's an accomplished attorney, was Secretary of State, and who even had someone fired in part for not complying with federal record-keeping requirements. Did that Hillary Clinton know it was illegal to conceal these records for 6 years? If she did, she appears to have committed a crime. And that's what I tried to explain to Fox News' own Juan Williams today on The Five.
I still think it's the case that she broke no law. I think that's what all of this...
But you don't know.
We got to find a document. We got to do this. We got to do that. Right. People are so afraid of her on the Republican side. They're just trying to tear her down.
But how do you say that? If the law says that it is a violation to willfully conceal your records...
The people at the Federal Records Act say she broke no law. What we're looking at is the
listen, I'm an attorney, and Shannon Coffin is an attorney who worked in the White House, and I'm telling you, I looked at the law, and I believe there's obviously room for disagreement on this.
I don't think you broke any law, and I think that, by the way...
Based on what? I'm telling you the standard is willful concealment.
There's no willful concealment that you can prove. So, I mean, the question... I don't think there's a prosecutor in America.
How can it not be proved when she had 30,000 documents, 60,000 documents at home? You asked me a question, I'm answering it.
I'm going to finish it.
She's got all the documents on her computer. FOIA requests are coming in. Congressional demands are coming in. Litigation requests are coming in. She doesn't produce any of the documents. How is that not concealment?
It's no concealment. She said she had nothing classified, and she said
That's
even
a different
worse.
question.
She said nothing sensitive in anything
That's a different question.
Wrote.
Joining us now, the man who first broke this story, Shannon Coffin, former counsel to Vice President Dick Cheney and a former DOJ Civil Division Assistant Deputy Attorney General. Shannon, good to see you.
Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day.
And to you. And so let's just start with where I left off with Juan. The law is clear. separate and apart from OF 109, which now we know she dodged, or they just didn't offer to her, the law's clear. And I refer the audience to 18 U.S. Code Section 2071B. Look at it. Whoever having the custody of any federal record willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, or destroys the same shall be fined or imprisoned or both. And listen, and shall be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. If she willfully concealed these emails, not only did she commit a crime, she cannot be president. So the stakes are rather high.
Absolutely. I wrote about that particular statute on National Review Online several weeks ago when this story broke. And it is a statute that quite plainly says that the custodian of a record, who Hillary Clinton would be in this case, can't conceal or destroy it. Now, she certainly has a concealment problem when she's hiding the existence of at least 30,000 records. She might have a destruction problem, given this strange review process that her lawyers went through, which resulted apparently in the deletion of 31,000 records.
To people like Juan, who continue to say she committed no crime, there's no evidence she committed a crime, you say what?
Well, there's evidence that would at least raise questions about whether she's committed a crime. That crime depends upon state of mind, which is willfulness, and willfulness requires, A, that you know that what you're doing is wrong, and you know that it's a crime as well. Now, that's an issue that a prosecutor would have to look into, and what evidence you have. But you've pointed out some of the evidence that she was basically letting go one of her ambassadors for doing something very similar, setting up a private email system in an embassy.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, but she was a practicing lawyer for many years. I mean, she herself is an attorney. She was in the White House for 8 years, and she was atop the State Department as secretary for 4. I mean, to suggest that she had no idea what her obligations were under the Federal Records Act is absurd.
Megan, the Federal Records Act says that the obligation of the department is actually the obligation of the secretary. The Federal Records Act says the secretary is responsible for preserving all of the records of the agency. It falls on the Secretary of State for the Department of State to be the responsible party. So the Federal Records Act is very clear that Hillary Clinton is the one who bore the responsibility under the law.
And now there's a question not only about whether she possibly violated Section 2071B, which we put on the board, but also a statute that makes it illegal to obstruct justice. Right. And that relates to the deletion of emails, just concealing them, just keeping them in her house, and not offering them for all those years while the FOIA requests were coming in and so on. That could be a crime. But there could be a second crime related to the destruction of the emails, which she's admitted she's done. Explain.
Well, that same statute actually deals with concealment as well. But it's concealing or destroying documents for the purpose of evading an official inquiry, investigation by an agency, or even a possible investigation. And this was a law that actually passed while Hillary Clinton was in the Senate under Sarbanes-Oxley in 2002, and it is designed to prevent exactly the sort of thing that we're concerned about happening here. It's designed to prevent someone from saying, hey, I know they're after me, or they might come after me, so I better hide or destroy these records. And again, it raises serious questions. And Professor Ronald Rotunda in the Wall Street Journal wrote a very good op-ed about that today.
Mm-hmm. I recommend the op-ed, and I certainly recommend everybody read Shannon's pieces, as he's been posting on Hillary Clinton for the past week or so, in really thoughtful, in-depth writings, and we appreciate your expertise tonight, Shannon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Megan.
Also